to find out shortly, maybe. I don't know. Let's do this. Let's do a poll. You know, I love doing polls, right? Like I do a poll. I do lots of polls. Like, do you like Make America Great Again, or do you like America First, or do you like them both? I like them both, right? But let's do a poll on candidates. Ready? So I'll go. We're going to do a poll on a few candidates. The press will like this because they won't have to pay for the poll. You know, you do these crazy polls and they charge you $250. Look, there's Mr. Wall. This guy is the greatest guy. This guy. He must have a lot of money because he's at so many different rallies. And he was at the one, that was a tough one, wasn't he? That was something. You were right up in the front. You saw that. That was something. We're going to do a poll, and it's going to be a very nice poll. And right? Who's your favorite candidate? Who would you like? Let's do it. Who would you most like to run against? Because, you know, you could say, who's the best candidate? We're saying, who would you like to? We'll start with Kamala Harris, and then we'll go to crooked Joe Biden, and then we could possibly discuss a few. So who would you like to most run against if you're us, if we want to win? Ready? Kamala Harris, crooked Joe Biden. All right. I don't think we have to go too much further. Well, you have a terrible governor here who did a terrible job. Whitman. I'd like to run against her, actually. I'd like to run against her. So she's one of the 20 that I mentioned. She's the one that gave her husband full right, title, and interest to everything, but nobody else could do anything but her husband. Her husband was sailing in the middle of your lake, your beautiful lake. He's out there sailing, and everybody else had to be locked up, right? Her husband. No, but things like that are mentioned during a campaign, little things like that. No, she's done a terrible job, but I hope I'll be very happy with her. At this very moment, Democrat Party bosses are frantically trying to overthrow the results of their own party's primaries to dump crooked Joe Biden from the ballot. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And as you're seeing, the Democrat Party is not the party of democracy. They're really the enemies of democracy. The parties of corrupt insiders like Whitmer, special interests, and the failed political class. That's what they are. Under our leadership, the Republican Party is now the party of the people. We're the party of hardworking Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed. We've become a very big party. We've become, right, fellas? You know what I'm talking about. I love you guys. We love you guys. No, we become a very big party. We have increased in size. Nobody's ever, honestly, in history, there's never been anything like this movement. And that may be in the history of the world, but let's keep it down to the country for right now, because that's the thing. But there's never been anything like MAGA. When Biden says, we have to stop MAGA, we will stop MAGA. I said, he doesn't know what MAGA stands for. It stands for Make America Great Again. How can you be against that? How can you be against it? And you know, the other side's going around trying to make me sound extreme, like I'm an extremist. I'm not. I'm a person with great common sense. I'm not an extremist at all. Like some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. I mean, some of them, I know who they are, but they're very, very conservative, just like you have. They're sort of the opposite of the radical left, okay? You have the radical left, and you have the radical right, and they come up with this, I don't know what the hell it is, it's Project 25. He's involved in Project, and then they read some of the things, and they are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. But what they do is misinformation and disinformation, and they keep saying, he's a threat to democracy. I'm saying, what the hell did I do for democracy? Last week, I took a bullet for democracy. What did I do against democracy? Crazy. Hello, Chris. Here's our great campaign man. Chris, are you having a good time? Look at him. He's back there, cool as a cucumber. You know, so far they're giving us great credit for the best run campaign they've seen in years. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Chris. Look how cool he is. Just sits there. Thanks, Ed. Try doing it with another candidate sometime. That gets tough, right? Anyway, thank you very much. Great job, Chris, Susie, the whole group. We have a great group of people. They love this country. They want to save the country. That's what we're doing. With your vote in this election, the Trump-Vance administration, by the way, I made the right pick. He's so great. They were all good. They were all good, but he's really stepped up. But the Trump-Vance administration will begin rapidly reversing every single Biden-Harris disaster starting on day one. And when you vote for Biden, you're probably voting indirectly for Harris anyway, whether you like it or not. Just common sense, it's all common sense, right? We will end the inflation nightmare that you would have never had. We had no inflation. See, there's another thing. Biden always goes around, I inherited 9% inflation. And even the radical left reporters up there, look at all of them. Whoa, they have a lot. They have a lot of them. They have a lot of them. Look at those cameras. But they'll start turning off as soon as I start mentioning certain things. I'll say, the red light just went off. No, but actually the radical left reporters, of which there are quite a few, I can't believe it. I don't know why they'd have them. But the radical left reporters say, the guy's right. You know, wasn't it until 2 years in that we became destroyed with inflation? Inflation is a country buster. It's a class buster. It busts everything, low income, middle income especially, and they get they're busted. The country gets busted. Look at Germany from centuries ago. Look at every country that's had inflation. And we had, I believe, the greatest inflation in the history of our country. They don't even report it properly because they leave the worst numbers out. They don't talk about interest rates that went to 10, 11, 12%, and you can't get the money. So what does that mean, 12%, if you can't get the money? It means it's higher from 2%. We will seal the border, and we will stop this terrible invasion that's destroying our country. We will crush migrant crime. We're going to crush migrant crime. Oh, we have a new form of crime now. It's called migrant crime. The only good thing about these migrants coming in is they make our gang members and criminals look like the nicest people you've ever met. These people are much tougher. They come from all over the world, not just from South America. We're going to return law and order to our streets and restore patriotism to our schools. We gave you already the largest tax cut in the history of our country, larger than the Reagan cuts, but now we will give you an additional tax cut, a number of tax cuts that will make it. We took in more money after the tax cuts than we did prior. We took in billions and billions of dollars more after the tax cuts than we did. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. Everyone knows that. We're going to slash regulations. That's what created all of those jobs and gave them bounce-back jobs. You know, they're called bounce-back jobs. After COVID, they bounce back. Everybody knows that. When you have something like COVID, which rarely happens, but when you have something like that, they're called bounce-back jobs. And we're going to bring down energy prices very rapidly. It was energy that caused the problem and their stupidity, and we're going to bring it down very quickly. Your energy bills will be cut in half, at least cut in half. Some sections, like in New England, I'll be able to cut their energy by 60, 70%. It's absolutely crazy what has happened with energy. We buy the oil from Venezuela. They used to be our enemy. I don't know. We buy from Venezuela. It's not really oil, it's tar. And you know, there's only one refinery in the world that can do it. It's very heavy, horrible stuff. It's garbage. It's tar. You lift it. I said, that's not oil. We want light, sweet, crude. We have the best oil. We have the best everything. We go to Venezuela. You know where they refine it? In Houston, Texas. It's the only plant in the world that can refine that stuff. So we go to Venezuela, we pay them a fortune. We take that dictatorship, we make the dictatorship wealthy. These people don't know what the hell they're doing. They're incompetent. They're grossly incompetent. The biggest threat is because we have incompetent. That's the threat to democracy. It's a threat to our country. We have incompetent people leading our country, grossly incompetent people. America's enemies will fear us. The United States will again command the respect that it deserves. Viktor Orban, the very powerful leader of Hungary, said when asked what happened with the world that's falling to pieces, there are wars all over. He said, bring back Trump, it'll all end. It all ended. We had no problem in the world. And something beautiful is going to happen because we will bring back the American dream, and it'll be bigger, better, and bolder than ever before. Right? And most importantly, for the people of this great state, you know, years ago, they gave me in Michigan the Man of the Year. That was long before I was a politician. I was a business guy. I did well. I liked the state, but I don't know. I heard Man of the Year, Michigan. I said, that's cool. That's good. I'm going to make that trip. I didn't know why they were giving it to me. Nothing, but they were giving it to me for, I guess, the fact that I employed a lot of people. I did real well. This is probably 14 years ago. And I came in and I said, why do you allow foreign countries like Mexico? You know, Mexico's, we think of them as friendly, but they haven't been too friendly lately. How about where they asked Biden to meet, just to meet? They want $2 billion to meet. They wouldn't ask that. See, they wouldn't even ask me that because I'd say, I will put 100% tariffs on everything you send into a country if you even think about asking. They want $2 billion to meet. In other words, we won't meet with you unless you pay us $2 billion. And this is every single year they want $2 billion. No, it works the opposite of that, the exact opposite. But, you know, when you see the things that are happening to our country, and all you have to do is know how to speak. When I watched the way our border was handled, we had the best border, the safest border, the border that saved my life. You know, I was pointing to an immigration border sign when I made this turn, and that thing went that way instead of that way. So I owe immigration my life. It's true. It's true. Now, think about it. I'm talking thousands and thousands, much more than even this. I mean, we're restricted because you're in this giant arena. That's the one thing about outdoor that's good. You can have unlimited. Thousands and thousands as far as the eye can see. Nobody's over here or over here because there's nobody there. It starts like this. As far as the eye can see, and I said, look at the great results that we had on immigration. Just look at them. If I didn't say that, and it's because we had like a crane holding this massive sign, I call it the $1 million sign, that they're expensive. But that sign was very good. I think I'm going to sleep with it tonight. I'm going to sleep with it tonight. I said, what was that? What was that? Ooh, then I looked, I said, that's not good. That's not good. So it was immigration, if you think about it, right? Immigration, I would have never been looking to the right, and I had to be. It was the only place that would have saved us. They do these reports in the New York Times and all over the place where they had, you know, the shape, you know, if he turns this way, this way, this way. If every shot was no good for me except for the one direct, and came whizzing by. And I hope we have to never go through that again, everybody, because it's so horrible, horrible. But most importantly, for the people of your state, this great state, I will rescue the U.S. auto industry from obliteration. They're going to obliterate your auto industry. And anybody that votes for the head of the United Auto Workers, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's approved all electric cars. And you know, Elon, I love Elon Musk. Do we love him? I love him. And I'm constantly talking about electric cars, but I don't mean I'm against, I'm totally for them, but whatever the market says, and if it's 10% of the market, 12%, 7%, 20%, whatever it is, it's okay. But you can't have 100% electric cars. And you know, so Elon endorsed me recently, the other day, actually. He's great. Elon Musk. He's a brilliant guy. Every time I call him, he's talking about, I got a new idea for a rocket. You have to hear this? No, it's true. You know, the first time in the middle of the ocean, and then another one comes down, and another one, I guess 4 of them came down, 3 or 4, and they land upright. I said, what the hell was that? I've never seen that before. Now, if that were government, you wouldn't see that for another 50 to 100 years. But it was Elon. Now, think of that. And I called him, and I've always had a good relationship with him, but I called him, and I said, what was that? He said, well, we saved the engines. We saved the engines. Because it didn't take me long to figure that if you save them, that's good. But who the hell thought you could do that? No wings, no nothing. Just like these big, long, massive tubes. And they're landing gently right on the dot. I said, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And you say, how long would it take government to come up with that one? I don't think they ever heard of it. Perhaps they still haven't heard of it. But, you know, he's a very advanced person, and he's doing other things that are great, and so are others. We have to make life good for our smart people, you know? We have some smart people. We have to make life good for our smart people, and he's as smart as you get. But Elon endorsed me the other day, and I didn't even know this. He didn't even tell me about it. But he gives me $45 million a month. A month. Not 45 million. Gives me 45 million a month. And I talked to him just a little while ago to say I was coming here, how you doing? And he didn't even mention it. He didn't mention. I mean, other guys, they give you $2 and you got to take them to lunch. You got to wine them, dine them. No, he's a great guy, he really is. But, you know, he's never mentioned to me, why are you hitting the electric cars? Because he understands I'm not hitting it. I think it's incredible. I've had them. I've driven them. They're incredible. But they're not for everybody. Some people have to drive long distances. And they tend to be more expensive. And, you know, they'll probably be made in China because China has all of that material. Oh, there's the guy that I stood up here. Are you the same guy, the same muscles? Look at that guy. Are you the same guy? Yes? No kidding. It's pretty good memory, right? Unlike somebody else that I happen to be running against. He wouldn't. Come on up here. Get up here. I got to get this guy. This guy was Central Casting. Look at him. Look. Oh, I think he was standing on a box. That was the only thing. I said, come on up here. Don't hurt yourself. Can you get him up? I like this guy. He's a serious union guy, a United Auto Workers. You look at him get over there. It's okay. He does not carry guns. He's not. Come on up here. Look at him. Look at his shape he's in.
I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see this guy. I told you we're going to get 85 million of us out there to vote for him. So let's go home from this rally and do our part.
Look at the arms on him. I may have height, but his arms are definitely more powerful, huh? Look at that guy. Now, last time I was here, I saw him, and he was so great, and he was agreeing with us on auto. We want to bring car manufacturing back, and what the deal with this thing with the all-electric cars in 6 years from now? It's ridiculous. You know, in the Midwest, they open up chargers. They opened up 8 chargers. You read about this. $9 billion they spent. For 8 charges. That's like a gas pump. I guess it would be like the equivalent of a gas pump for electric, right? They spent $9 billion on 8 chargers. This is 8 little chargers. $9 billion. How do you do that? It would cost at that rate $5 trillion to create enough charges so it could run. It doesn't work. And it doesn't work the trucks either. I was with Swift, big Swift company. How many trucks are you on? 29,000, sir. 29,000? That's a lot of trucks. One of the biggest, I guess like the biggest. I think he's the biggest, right? And he said, they want to destroy our business. They want us to go all electric. I said, so what's wrong with electric? I said, if you take a big, beautiful, like Peterbilt or one of the great manufacturers, how many times would you have to stop from New York to Los Angeles? None, sir. We go right there. We have some left over. Really? That's with diesel. I said, what about if it's electric? We have 6 to 7 stops, about 3 hours each. So immediately he's saying, that's not working too well. He said, but there are other problems. He said, the truck is so much heavier that you'd have to rebuild every bridge in the country. That doesn't sound too good, right? And then the third thing, he said that the battery is so much bigger than a tank, a big tank for the diesel or for the gasoline, but the diesel mostly. It's so much bigger that most of our payload would be holding batteries. In other words, we wouldn't have any room for the product. So let's say you hear those 3 minor details. Typically, you would end the conversation, would say, that doesn't work. These people said, we don't care. We want you to go all electric. Can you believe these people? They're crazy. They're crazy. No, they're crazy. And they want boats to do the same thing. I was with in South Carolina, one of the biggest boat manufacturers of, smaller fishing boats from, let's say, 16 to 35 feet. And he said, we have a problem. They keep pushing, the beautiful outboard engines. You have Mercury and Evinrude, I guess they used to have. I don't know if they have it anymore. But those big, beautiful outboard engines they have, they work great. Or just interior engines run by a thing called gasoline. So he said they want us to figure out how to go all electric in a boat, right? All electric. I said, well, what is the problem? He said, we'd have to take the entire lower cabin where we have bedrooms, and we'd have to make that into a battery. But the bigger problem is, sir, it won't float because it's so heavy. It won't float. It won't float. And I always tell the story with like, well, what would you do? Because my uncle was a great professor at MIT for 41 years, I think. He's the longest serving, Dr. John Trump, she knows. He was great, very smart. We have a very smart family, actually. But he was a great guy, and I was very interested in this, but the press kills me all the time. They say, he keeps talking about sharks and this. I don't. I tell an analogy. If I'm in a boat, it's all electric, and it starts to sink. I asked the guy, do you get electrocuted sitting over this? And then I say, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this, do you? Because it's an analogy. I say, and if there's a shark about 10 yards away, right where they are, right where all the congressmen are, right over there, look at us. Well, they're sharks. They're sharks. If there's a shark about 10 yards away, do I get electrocuted or do I go with the shark? I said, because I will take electrocution all day long. Despite the environmentalists that say how wonderful sharks are. You ever hear these people? We had 3 killings by a shark this weekend, ripped people apart, and then you have the environmentalists going, well, they didn't mean to do it. They mistook them for a seal. They didn't want to hurt the child. No, I don't want that. Common sense, right? I mean, how about they catch a shark, vicious that they've been after, and they take him to a little deeper water and they put him back in? I wouldn't do that. Would anybody do that here? Let me ask you, this is Michigan. These guys wouldn't do it. But they always get on me. They say, why is he talking about electricity and sharks? What do they have? Well, they know exactly. It's sort of a cute little story. Do I take electrocution or do I take death by a shark? And I'll always take electrocution. But isn't it ridiculous? Think of it. Isn't it ridiculous? They want to make a boat that's far too heavy, that can barely float, And they're driving people out of business. They're destroying this country. They're stupidly destroying this country. The Army tanks are the other one. They want to make all electric. We make the best tanks in the world. They want to have them. So that as we go into a country to bomb the hell out of it, we will do it in an environmentally friendly way. Okay? And you know, with an Army tank, again, the battery is very big, very heavy, and doesn't last long. You know what it is? It's an Army tank, and it's like you're pulling a wagon behind the Army tank. You're pulling a wagon like a child pulls a wagon, and it's loaded up with a battery. So we got to get back to common sense. The aircrafts, too. They want to make our jet fighters a biofuel jet fighter that shows 18% less efficiency. That's the difference between winning and losing a fight. And you know what happens? I say, I'm not doing it, and we ended all of that stuff. They brought it back. We will end it on day one. We're not going to be doing that stuff, okay? In 4 short years under my leadership, I did more for Michigan auto workers and manufacturers than any president in the history of our country. And just as I promised, I withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have totally destroyed your auto industry. I ended the disaster known as NAFTA. That was the worst trade deal ever made. That was the worst trade deal considered by him. That was so unfair to us with Mexico and Canada, the worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with what they call the best trade deal ever made, the USMCA, Mexico and Canada. And I know it's good because Mexico and Canada are right now, as we speak, working like hell to try and renegotiate the deal. Don't do it, Biden. Well, he doesn't know what's going on. Don't do it. He's watching us now. He'll say, what's that trade deal they're talking about? Well, sir, they've been negotiating with us for about 2 years. I never heard of that negotiation. Where is Mexico anyway? Where is it? See, now the fake news will take the statement I just say, where is Mexico? And they'll put it on television. Trump didn't know where Mexico is. Oh, they do. They do. It's very dangerous. The biggest threat I have to my administration is sarcasm, because they play it against me. When I show that he can't walk off, he can never find the entrances off a stage. Look, one here, one there, 2 here. He could jump off the front, I guess. And whenever I imitate him, I called my wife. She's great. Our wife, she's great. Our great First Lady. I said, and she looked great the other night. She made that entrance. She made a lot of entrances. She was something. But she walked in, but I told her the other night, I said, how good was I? How good? This was at a rally a couple of weeks ago. How good was I? Well, you were really good, but not great. Why? Well, it showed that you didn't know how to get off the stage. Well, I was imitating Biden. So what they do is they show the imitation of Biden. They said Trump didn't know how to get off the stage. That's our fake news. So we have to be very careful. So I haven't done it in about 3 weeks. I'll do it again, but maybe not right now. It's too... Darling, you were great. I mean, I get these crowds, 50, 60, 70,000. In New Jersey, we're leading New Jersey by 4 points, by the way. We're leading Michigan by 6 points. Right. And a report just came out. Actually, we're leading everywhere and nationally, and we have to keep it that way. Got to make sure they don't cheat. Got to make sure they don't cheat. I took on China like no administration in history, bringing hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our treasury when no other president had gotten 10 cents. You know, China never gave us 10 cents. I got hundreds of billions of dollars from China. And I got along very well with President Xi. He was a great guy. He wrote me a beautiful note the other day when he heard about what happened. And he wrote me a beautiful, most of the leaders do. You know, a lot of them didn't like what I was doing to them, but they also knew it was about time. The jig was up, right? It was about time. But they wrote me, almost all of them wrote me notes. It was nice. Now I have a good relationship with all of them. That's a good thing. You know, a lot of times the press would say, he gets along with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. He has a lot of nuclear weapons. I got along with him great. You were never in danger with me as your president. It's a good thing to get along, not a bad thing. I used to tell him, why don't you do something else? All he wants to do is buy nuclear weapons and make them. I said, just relax, chill. You got enough. You got so much nuclear weapons, so much. I said, just relax. Go to let's go to a baseball game. I'll show you what a baseball. We'll go watch the Yankees, or we'll come watch Michigan at its home opener. Okay, how about that? Are you going to have a good team this year, I think, right? Pretty good. I heard good. I heard good, but who the hell knows, right? Guy drops a pass, that's the end of that season. It's a risky business. I proudly imposed a 27.5 tariff on all Chinese auto imports to keep China and Chinese cars, keep them out of America. You don't sell a lot of Chinese cars in here because of what, and if you did, it'd be fewer cars that you made. We're going to bring back the auto industry we're going to bring it back. We're going to have them. If they want to come in and sell us cars, they can, but they have to build plants here, and they have to hire our workers, and that's fine, and nobody can say anything about it. Under the radical Democrat policies, the U.S. auto industry is being decimated. You know, we lost 64% of our industry over the years, 64%. We were a giant, and now a lot of them made in Mexico. Mexico's taken 35% of the auto industry. And we did something very strong. We did something very strong with Mexico. But, you know, when I was building the wall, I said, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers. And they laughed at me. I hate when people laugh at me. I hate it. I hate it. No, it's so disrespectful. They laughed at me. We won't do that. Why would we do that? I said, because you have to. We're building the wall. People are flowing in through your country. We want 28,000 soldiers to protect us while we're building the wall. They said, no, no, no. And then they said, after I said, look, here's the story. If you don't do it, we're going to charge you a 25% tariff on every car that you send into America. And then it's going to 50% next month. Then it's going to 75%. And then it's going to 100%, and then I'll stop. And the gentleman representing the president's a great guy. He's no longer president, but he's a great guy. He was a great guy, still is. But he said, I'd like to discuss this with the president. I said, 5 minutes, I got to go. I have something much more important to do. And he came back. He said, Mr. President, we would love to give you soldiers to protect your wall, free of charge, of course. That's how I got those great numbers on that beautiful, beautiful graph that we talk about. They gave us everything I wanted. I got everything from Mexico, and then this stupid person, low IQ, he's a low IQ individual. Take his IQ. I guarantee you it's in the low 50s or 60s. And he's negotiating against Putin, President Xi of China, Macron of France, very smart guy. I told him he was going to do something very bad to our country. I said, that's okay, you can do it, but I'm going to put a 100% tariff on all wines and champagnes that come in from France. He said, no, 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 Donald, you cannot do that. I said, I'm doing it. Donald, you cannot do that. That's not fair. He's going to charge our companies, American companies, 25% for doing nothing, for being in France. Big deal, right? Big deal. So I said, okay, that's all right. I'm charging you 100% tariff. I gave it to all my people, Mnuchin, all smart guys. They came back, sir, they won't do it. They won't budge. I said, they'll budge. I called them up. And I talked to the president of France, Emmanuel Macron. He's a nice guy. I said, but he's, you know, he likes France. I like the USA. Does that make sense? I said, Emmanuel, it's so nice to talk to you. I understand you're going to charge our companies 25%, Emmanuel. Yes, 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 Donald. It was approved by whoever the hell approves the parliament. Whatever the hell they have over there, they were going to approve it. It's been fully approved. Yes, I'm so sorry. I said, well, that's okay. You can add approve, but here's the story. Starting tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, every bottle of wine and every bottle of champagne that's shipped into the United States is going to have a 100% tariff on it. No, 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 you cannot do that. That is not fair. I said, not fair for you to charge our companies 25%. He said, you cannot do it. I said, I'm signing the papers now. I will call you right back. Calls me back. Donald, we would be delighted, Mr. President, to take that tax off. We have decided to take it off. It'll be off by tonight, sir. It'll be off by tonight. And it was off. And it was off. You think Joe Biden does that? He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Their policies are no good. Remember, whether it's Biden or anybody else, they want open borders. They want all the same stuff. So it's like, you know, but he's in particular, he's pretty bad, I tell you. Can you imagine these killers, these are sharp. You know, the press gets angry. They said, is President Xi of China, is he a smart man? I said, no, he's a brilliant man. He controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. He makes guys like Biden look like babies. They don't even know whether they're coming or going. Yes, he's the next day headline, Trump calls him brilliant. How dare? No, okay. Let's say he's not a smart man. Okay, whatever makes you happy. No matter what you do. No matter what you do. I say he's a brilliant man. They went crazy because I called him brilliant. So I'm just going to have to say, he's okay. He's okay. No, he's very smart. But and you know what else? He's a fierce person. Do you understand that? Some of the people here know that, what this means, especially some of the women, right? They know better than the men about fierce. I know the women. They know better than the men. They're more fierce than the men. Oh, her. But no, he's a fierce individual. He's a fierce man. Can you imagine when he meets this guy? He thinks Trump is playing a joke on him. He actually thinks there's some kind of that I'm playing a joke. He doesn't believe what happened. He doesn't believe the last election. He thinks I'm playing a joke on him. But can you imagine President Xi, Putin, all of them? They're all smart, tough. They love their country or they want to do well with their country, whatever it is, all ideology. But we have to have somebody that can protect us. And Orban was right. We have to have somebody that can protect us. Right now, we have really low IQ people in there. And the president in particular, he has about a 70 IQ, and he's going against 210, and it never works out. It never works out. When I'm back in the White House, the way they will sell their product in America is to build it in America. They have to build it in America, and they have to use you people to build it. Thank you very much. It's very simple. We will build American, buy American. We're going to hire American. We're going to get it going. We're going to get the auto industry back. It's ridiculous. I will revoke China's most favored nations trade. You know, they have a most favored nations trade status. They've had it for years. We had it revoked, and then we had that stupid election, that ridiculous election that everybody knows was ridiculous. But I will revoke it. They have a trade where basically they're saying we're just beginning. They're not just beginning. They're teaching our people too much. I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act, meaning if China charges us a 100 or 200% tariff or tax, we will charge them a 200% tax. Very simple. It's called reciprocal. They charge, we charge. It sort of says, I shouldn't say this, because, you know, Franklin Graham, I told the story the other night, Franklin Graham, he's such a wonderful guy. Billy Graham was his father, the greatest. My father used to take me to Yankee Stadium to watch Billy Graham. The place was packed, and he would get up and he would rant and rave, and you left there and you believed that it was God, in fact, that helped me last week. You would believe it if you listened to Billy Graham. And Franklin Graham is right, probably, but he wrote me a beautiful letter. He says, President Trump, I watch your speeches and your rallies all the time. I love your storytelling. There's nobody that can do it like you, but please, you're hurting yourself very badly. Don't use foul language. It made me feel bad, actually, because I don't use much. I don't use much, and if it is foul, it's not really foul. You know, there's really foul, and then there's a little off. Like some people they don't like the word hell. That's a bad word. You know, I mean, that's not good. Or the word bullshit they don't like, so I won't use it. No, it's true, but it's more descriptive. There's just no word to sort of. But he said, so please, so I've been really good, and for the last 4 or 5 times I've really been good, but you know, you lose a little something. But reciprocal trade, it basically means you screw us and we'll screw you. It's very simple. And I can't describe it. And I don't think it's foul, but he's probably right. To further protect Michigan auto workers, I will end the Biden-Harris electric vehicle mandate on day one. It's going to end on day one. And I will immediately terminate the Green New scam, and we're going to use that money to build roads and highways and bridges. Under Biden and the radical left Democrats, inflation is wiping out our middle class. Groceries are up 57%. Gasoline is up 69%. Mortgage rates have quadrupled. They've gone up 3, 4, 5 times. And they never include that in their stats, you know. They never include those things. They never include mortgage rates. And you can't get the money anyway, so what really is the number? And since Democrats took over, total household costs have increased by an average of $28,000 per family. Think of that. Under my leadership, we will throw out Bidenomics, and we will replace it very simply with Maganomics. Maganomics. You know, I have to just interject. If you would turn off those cameras, because I don't want this. See the screen up there of me? That's very severe, that comb over. That's a severe sucker. What's with that one? It looks okay from the other side. But that is very severe. I apologize. Man, I looked up there. I said, whoa. Look at that. Wow. That's like a work of art. Only look at that one. Don't look. That one looks. To bring down the prices of all goods, we will end the Biden-Harris war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to start that day one. Under the Trump administration, we had energy independence, and soon we will have energy dominant. We will be more dominant than any country by far, and we were just 4 years ago. We started off at number 4, we got to number 3, and then we had to beat Russia. We beat them. Then we had to beat Saudi Arabia. We beat them, and we were like a rocket ship, and then we had this idiotic result. But we will be, and again, we have more. You know, Anwar in Alaska, it's probably the biggest find anywhere in the world. The size of Saudi Arabia, some people say, who knows what it is, but it's massive. Ronald Reagan tried to get it, couldn't get it, and that was easier in those days environmentally. They stopped it with the environment. You know, the environment is very important to me, and environmental is very important, but, you know, you can't use it to destroy a country. And they stopped it. They stopped it for years based on the environment. I got it approved. It was totally done. This is since Ronald Reagan, who worked so hard to get Anwar, he wanted to be able to drill in Alaska. Think of it as the size of Saudi Arabia, approximately, bigger than Texas, bigger than everything. We would have had something that nobody else even comes close to. And on the first week in office, his Department of the Interior person, who was just put in Department of Interior, she outlawed it. She said, we're not going to use it. Stopped all work. They were ready to start drilling. It took them a while to get ready. They're ready to start drilling. The money would have been incredible. The prices were very high. We're the only country that stops drilling when the prices are at an all-time high. And we stopped drilling, but we'll get that back, and I'll get it back very fast. But Anwar, they cut it. Unbelievable. And I will cut taxes even further than we did before, and that includes no tax on tips, right? No tax on tips. All that government does is harass everybody over it anyway. It's like a big harassment operation. They hired 88,000 IRS people to go harass everybody. So if you work in a restaurant, if you drive a cab, or if you do anything having to do with tips, I hope you're going to remember, bartenders, let's see, hospitality workers, a caddy, a barber. Barbers get tips. I don't give mine a big tip because I don't think they do a very good job. If you're a mover, a driver, or anyone else who relies on tips, the money is going to be 100% yours. You better go vote. If that doesn't get you out, if that doesn't get you off your ass to go out and vote for Trump, nothing will. Got to do it. Right? Got to do it. And as we rescue our economy, I will also restore the sacred and sovereign borders of a place called the United States of America, right? United States of America. With Democrats in charge, the greatest invasion in history is taking place right now. This is an invasion of our country. You remember during the time I was trying to get the wall, and I was getting all sorts of assurances, and you couldn't get it from Congress. It was incredible. So I did get a lot of money for the military. So I put an extra $10 billion. I put a little fund, an extra $10 billion. I then called it an invasion of our country, and I took it out of the military, and I got it built. And now we're going to build it larger. We have to close up the areas that weren't built. We have certain areas where we needed to have them open for a little while for getting all of our stuff back. I don't like leaving brand new bulldozers and everything on the other side of the border, right? We want to close it up. But we had certain areas we had to close up. And when they took over, they said, we're not going to close it. I said, these guys actually do. I thought they were kidding. I thought they were not being serious. Who would want an open border? Who would want an open border where people come in from prisons and jails and mental institutions? Either people that don't love our country, stupid people. They're not stupid because anybody that can cheat that well in an election is not stupid. Or maybe a new thing is emerging where they want to get people to vote illegally, and they don't care. They have no shame. And we're watching that. Our chairman is here. The Republican chairman is here, the whole thing. See? The big boss is here in Michigan, so you're going to remember that. But we're working on that, but they do. They're trying to sign people up who just came in, who have no idea where they are, what they're doing. They came in. And in many cases, they're very rough people, but they came in. They're trying to sign them up to vote. This is what they'll do. Because think of it. If they have open borders, if they have men playing in women's sports, if they have a raise in, they're going to raise your taxes by four times. 4 times. Think of it. What you're paying now, you're going to pay 4 times more. With policy like this, nobody can get elected. The only way you can get elected is to cheat. And they are really good at it. That's the only thing they're good at. That's the only thing they focus on. They have no good policies. They don't do anything well. But they're using these people, and they're trying to sign up the people. And we've caught them, and we sue, and we do all the things that you have to do. But they have no shame whatsoever. So that's really one of the big reasons I think they're allowing it, because they're not stupid enough to allow prisoners and people from mental institutions, people from insane asylums, and it drives them crazy. Hannibal Lecter, the late, great Hannibal Lecter, would like to have you for dinner. He wants you for dinner. That's the end of you, by the way. But no, these people are being dumped into our country, and nothing good is going to happen from it. That's why we have to do a big deportation and get them the hell out, okay? We have no chance. Meanwhile, our crime rate is going up while crime statistics all over the world are plunging. We have become a dumping ground for the world, which is laughing at us. They can't believe how stupid we are, how stupid we are. We're destroying our country. They can't believe what they're getting away with, but they're getting away with it at levels that they never thought possible. In Venezuela, crime is down 72%. You know, Caracas, Venezuela, was a very, very dangerous place. And now, because of the great job they've done in removing their criminals into the United States, next year we're going to have our Michigan rally in Caracas, Venezuela, because it's nice and safe. Okay? Does that sound like a good idea to you? Because we want safety. Now, the press is going to write that. They're going to say, Donald Trump proposed next year's Michigan rally in Caracas, Venezuela. They'll say, isn't that horrible? Isn't that unpatriotic? You understand. This is what I have to go with. I'm only kidding, press. I'm only kidding. Although maybe it's not a bad idea. So El Salvador is an interesting one because I know the president. He's a young guy, and he's been getting this great press that his crime rate's way down, and they're training their criminals. Well, you don't train criminals, okay? You know, maybe every once in a while you get lucky, but you don't. So in El Salvador, murders are down 70%. He's saying, yes, we're teaching. He's different. Most of them just say, well, the United States is stupid, so we're dumping all our criminals there. He does it differently, smart. He goes, we're working with our people that are causing problems and crime. And he's not working with them. He's dumping them in the United States. And their crime rate, their murder rate is down 72%, 73%, and going up. And I don't blame them, because if I was running one of those countries, and we're not just talking in South America, but if I were running one of those countries, I would have been doing it much more. They're also emptying their jails. The big thing is their jails. Those jails were packed. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, isn't this wonderful? They're doing such a wonderful job. They're dumping their criminals into the United States of America, and we're not going to take it anymore. Stupid people. You're not going to teach a criminal not to be a criminal. Not going to happen. And you don't have the time, you don't have the energy, because you have to do other things. That is why, as soon as I take the oath of office, we will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of our country, even larger than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower many years ago. He was a big deportation person. Under the radical left Democrats, Michigan communities are being overrun with migrant crime. You know that better than anybody, right? Does everybody agree? It's being unbelievable. In Oakland County, criminal squads of illegal alien gang members are hiding in the trees and breaking into Michigan homes after dark, looting them for jewelry, purses. They're taking the women's purses right out of their bedrooms. Electronics, cash, they're stealing, they're robbing the houses. Earlier this year in Kent County. Does anybody live in Kent County here? Sounds good to me, but you're not going to like this. A sadistic illegal alien, of which there are many criminals, was sentenced for executing a 22-year-old Grand Rapids woman while she was in her car with her 1-year-old baby, shooting her at least 5 times with a rifle at point-blank range, while the killer was wanted on an outstanding warrant for attempted strangulation of another woman. When I return to the White House, we will stop the plunder, rape, slaughter, and destruction of our American suburbs, cities, and towns. We will shut down deadly sanctuary cities. We're not going to have them anymore. And we will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement. We're going to get the bad ones out. We're going to get them out immediately. It's not going to take long. We're going to rely on law enforcement, and we're going to give law enforcement back their dignity, respect, and power so they're allowed to protect you. It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. We're the only ones. You know, we talk about Biden like he's a feeble old guy, and he is. But it's the people that surround him. I mean, he's perfect for them. This is the fascists and communists and some bad people surround him. I know just about all of them. I can tell you about all of them. Did you hear about our big victory in Florida last week? Did you hear? We won the big case. We're going to take down Trump. We're going to take down Trump. No, when you have a great court system, when you have honorable judges, people that really love the country, good things can happen. But we won that case in its entirety. That was the one. That's going to take them down. They've been saying that for, 8 years now, right? And here we are leading in every poll. We got to get it close. You got it close. You got it close. We don't want to talk too much. I always say, if we win, because I don't like saying when we win, because they cheat like hell. So if we win, but we got to get it close. We're close. 4 months, but you know what 4 months is in this racket? Like an eternity. 4 months is like an eternity, but we're leading by a lot, not just by a little. We're leading every state, every important swing state by a lot, and we're leading nationally by a lot, but we got to get it close. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024. We're not going to allow it. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. You know, I've been indicted more than the legendary Alphonse Capone, Scarface. He was a tough man. See that guy right there? Ultra MAGA. You're Ultra MAGA. He's tough as hell. But if Alphonse didn't like you, you would be in the foundation of a building rising someplace in your great state, right? He was not. He was a tough cookie, this guy. I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone. Think of it. My parents are looking down. I had wonderful parents. They never saw this for me. They never saw, let's see, I'm voting for, oh, I don't want to even read that one. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I'm being indicted for you. Don't worry about these fake indictments. These aren't indictments. These are Biden indictments. These are a sick, weak, pathetic man who can't run an election, so he indicts his opponent thinking that's going to win. And in many cases it would. You know, third world countries do this a lot. Banana republics do it a lot. We've never done it. And we're going to teach them why they can never do it again. Because it's actually hard to believe. It's actually driven our poll numbers way up. And then we had the debate. Did anybody watch the debate? Poll. Who won the debate? Biden or Trump? Poll, free poll. I just saved $300,000. Isn't it something these pollsters, I have Tony Fabrizio and McLaughlin back there. I got to be careful. But I just saved $300,000 doing that poll. They interview 97 people have been interviewed, and Trump is leading by a little smidgen. I got 25,000 people here or something. They got so many people outside. I wish we could include them. I'd love to get them in. Would anybody like to leave now and let the other people come? That's not nice. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom, because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me, because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way, and I always will. Right? I always will, fellas. So we have some exciting news today, because we're pleased to be joined by many outstanding Michigan patriots. They are, I know every one of them, including your next U.S. Senator from Michigan, Mike Rogers. And Mike is just as adamant as me. He'll vote to stop the invasion, end inflation, halt the outsourcing of Michigan jobs, and bring back the auto industry. You are going to double or triple your auto industry
within the next 3 years under Trump. Mark it down. Mark it down.
Because we're not taking their cars. We want them to build the cars here, using you people to build them. Also with us is another good man who is running for Michigan Senate seat, Sandy Pensler. Do you know Sandy? So I have a big announcement to make then. Sandy has just announced that
he would like to do something very important tonight. So you have Mike, who's a total pro, Sandy, who's a total pro. I'd like to ask both of them to come on up, and I'd like to have Sandy make a statement first. Thank you. Come on up, fellas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was so inspired when President Trump kissed the empty uniform of Corey Compatore. I flashed back immediately to a couple days after 9/11 at the local firehouse where I hugged the lone remaining survivor and looked out at 12 empty uniforms. Thank you for honoring all of them as well. My campaign was always about making America better. The best way to do that is to enact President Trump's policies. Let's go, Trump! Let's go, Trump! To do that, we need control of the Senate. A divisive, continued primary effort hurts the chances of that, and that's not okay. So tonight, I'm doing the right thing and ceasing my Senate candidacy. No, it's not an aha, it's the right thing. President Trump endorsed Mike Rogers. Tonight, so am I. Mike's gonna make a heck of a senator. So I want you guys to look around the room tonight, because everything goes through Michigan. The presidency, the Senate, the House, and the State House. Look around, make a pledge to each other. We're gonna fight, fight, fight like hell to save America and elect Donald Trump, Mike Rogers, and the rest of the ticket on the Republican Party. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. I am honored to have you stand with us and all Republicans to win the state of Michigan. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your leadership. You're going to be an important voice going forward in our party in Michigan. And Mr. President, I want to say this, as a former law enforcement guy, it wasn't that the bullet took you to the ground. It was the fact that you got back up for America. You bet. I have spent my career working to protect America as an Army officer, as an FBI agent working organized crime in Chicago, as the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. I have never seen a more unsafe America because of the Democrats over the last 4 years. Here's the good news, Mr. President. You will have a partner in the United States Senate that will bring manufacturing back to Michigan. We are the arsenal of democracy. We will be again in this great state. And I'll pledge to you, I will get Department of Justice reoriented to actually going after criminals. We are going to dismantle fentanyl distribution from here to the steppes of China, and we're going to tell China, you sell in the United States, you'll have a price to pay.
Amen. All right. About time.
Mr. President, I'll guarantee you this as well. With your leadership, winning the state of Michigan, winning for the United States, putting America back in Washington, D.C. versus Washington, D.C. and the rest of America, we will make America respected again. We will bring back law and order again. We will make America safe again. Let's flip the Senate. Let's elect Donald J. Trump and Mike Rogers to the Senate, and let's get busy. Thanks, Mr. President.
We're unifying the party, and that was beautiful to watch. Thank you, Sandy and Mike. And Mike, good luck. You're running against somebody that's such a bad senator. You don't even, I was there for 4 years plus. I don't even remember meeting that particular person. This is not a senator for Michigan. Mike Rogers is going to be a great senator. He's got gravitas. He really knows his way, highly respected in Washington. And I think, I mean, it should be an easy race. Nothing's easy, but it should be an easy race. So good luck. Good luck. And thank you very much, Sandy, Mike.
We're also joined by members of Congress, and they're great people, friends of mine, warriors. Jack Bergman. Jack?
Thank you, Jack. Great job. A real friend of mine, somebody I was very much in favor of right at the beginning, John James. Thank you, John. A warrior, somebody who helped me do a lot of different things. He gets things done. Bill Heisinger. Bill, thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. And another one. These are all great people. Tim Wahlberg, thank you for everything you've done, Tim. You've been unbelievable. Always there for me, right? Always there. And a man from a slightly different location, a little bit down. You're not going to get there with an electric car, but unless you want to stop a few times. But he comes from a state known as Florida, a great place, and he's so respected. He's such an incredible man. Brian Mast. Brian. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Brian. Thank you, Brian. What a guy he is. He's a warrior. He's a real warrior. Thank you, Brian. Michigan House Republican leader, Matt Hall. Thank you, Matt. Good job you're doing, Matt. Are we going to win, Matt? Will you please make sure? We need these local ones, right? That's right. Michigan Senate Republican leader, Eric Nesbitt. Thank you, Eric. Great. Thank you. Good job. A congressional candidate who I hear is doing very well, Tom Barrett. Tom, get in there and win. Good. A friend of mine who was really brave, ran a tough race. It's amazing, actually. Really did well. Her father was a very special guy who was in the steel industry, and he passed away. A battle with cancer, a long-time battle, but he was fantastic. And I got to know them both very well. She's a terrific woman. Tudor Dixon. Thank you, Tudor. Ambassador Joe Sella. Thank you, Joe. Good job you're doing, Joe. Very important person in this room, Michigan GOP Chairman. Where are you? Okay. Pete Hoekstra. Oh, there he is. I fought like hell for him to take that job, right, Pete? I said, Pete, you got to do it. How are we doing, Pete? How are we doing? Huh? We're doing good. If you're in charge, he's going to win. He was a congressman, a really good one, respected. He left. I made him ambassador. He was a great ambassador. And I then said, Pete, you got to do it. He lives here. I said, you got to do it. And we appreciate you doing it. Both of you, thank you very much. We appreciate it very much. RNC chairman, he put on that show with a person named Lara Trump. How good is she? How good is she? She's unbelievable. She made a great speech. And her husband made a very good speech the other night, didn't he? Eric and Don. I don't want to talk about anyone else, only my kids, you know. But they all did well. Everybody did well, honestly. I do think Hulk Hogan, I thought he was incredible. I hadn't seen him in a while. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to mess with him, right? We're not going to mess with the Hulkster. But he was fantastic the other night. All of them, every single one. My granddaughter did very well. Look, she's scarred. What about, who said that? Who said my granddaughter? Wow. Kai. Kai is great. Great golfer. She's a great golfer. But we have another man who's very important, and the RNC chairman, Michael Watley, who's been incredible, wherever Michael is. Mike, thank you, Mike. Great job. I said, Michael, you have one job. We got so many votes, we don't know what to do with them. You got to guard the vote. When those votes get put in, they can't be missing. They can't throw them out. They can't stuff ballot boxes. They can't cheat. Make sure. And, you know, he headed up North Carolina. And on that night, a while ago, that certain election night, that miserable where we thought it was won at 10 o'clock in the evening, and then all of a sudden, additional votes have been reported in various places. We don't have to get into it. North Carolina held totally steady. He had 603 lawyers working. Other people didn't have lawyers working. And bad things happened, but this guy held, and I said, that's the guy I want to run the party. And Michael, I know you're doing a great job, and you're going to do something very special. We don't need votes. We need to guard the vote. You ever hear the expression, too big to rig? The more we get in there, the harder it is for them. My daughter and her husband, Tiffany and Michael, where are you? Tiffany and Michael, you're around here someplace. Two great people. Fairly recently, thank you, Tiff. Great people. And Michael's father's here tonight, highly respected guy, great businessman, and a highly respected guy. From the moment we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden and Kamala, I call her Laughing Kamala. You ever watch her laugh? She's crazy. You know, you can tell a lot by a laugh. No, she's crazy. She's nuts. She's not as crazy as Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. Did you see Nancy Pelosi is selling out Biden now? Did you see? She turned on him like a dog. Well, I don't know if he should continue. All of a sudden, where did that come from? She was 100%. All of a sudden, she's not sure. Not sure means he's gone. But no, she's crazy as a bedbug. She's a crazy person. I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years of the history of our country. I believe that. And I believe that Michigan is going to have the greatest of all of any of the states because I'm going to bring back your auto industry. I'm not going to take this. You know, in Mexico, they're building among the largest plants for auto manufacturing anywhere in the world. In Mexico, near the border, they think that they're going to make cars and sell them into the United States and lose all our jobs. It's not happening. And you know who owns those plants? China! China owns them. And we're not letting it happen. We'll put 200% tariffs on, 400, I don't care what would. Whoever is building your plants, We're not allowing any of those cars to come into the United States, okay? We're telling that to Mexico right now. You want to build those plants? A friend of mine who builds plants, that's all he can do. He's a great guy, but his strength is plants. If you say walk across the street, he's not that good at it. But to build a plant, he has no problem. He builds great auto plants. So I said, I'd like to see one. Take me. He goes, well, we'll have to go to Mexico. I said, what about the United States? No, not so much. He goes, they're actually some of the biggest in the world being built right now in Mexico. I said, this happened over the last couple of years with this stupid president that we have. Stupid. He's a stupid person. And I can say it because, once he weaponized justice, I would never talk about a president like that. Once he weaponized justice against me, I said, oh, wow, that's really incredible. That's never been done before. I can do it. And I'm knocking him out. But sometimes you have crooked judges. We have some real crooked judges, too. That's the only way. The only way I can lose is crooked judges, but we'll get it overturned, anything that happens. But once he weaponized, I wouldn't talk that way. In fact, before this happened, before he did this, I treated him not nicely, but I treated him with far more respect than I do right now. It's one of those things. But we can't let these companies come in and steal our wealth, steal our jobs, destroy our companies, and end up building it 10 miles across the border and think we're going to allow them to get away with it. We're not. They have to build it over here, and they have to use our people. And it's going to happen. And Michigan will benefit more than any state in the union because they stole your auto industry, and we're going to bring it back, and it's going to be at a level that it was in its height. Okay? You hear that, John James? You hear that? I'm going to put John James in charge. And the amazing thing, it's not even hard to do. It's not even hard. It's so crazy. If you want to build something in China, you're building it here and you send it over there. We don't want it. They'll charge you like 250% tariff. We don't want it. Then you get an invite. Build your plant over here. So these companies, they go over there. Harley Davidson did it in India. They couldn't sell. They had a 200% tariff on motorbikes. I had them in the office in the White House, the Oval Office, and the head of Harley Davidson. I was disappointed in that, actually. We were talking about it. I was telling them the problems, and I was going to help them out. But I said, how are you doing in India? No good. Why? We have a 200% tariff. In other words, if we sell a bike, they have like this massive tariff. And I said, well, if you have a 200% tariff, that means you're not going to be able to sell any. But they invited them over to build a plant, and Harley Davidson went, and I guess they're building the plant or built it or something. But that's what they do. I don't blame India. I blame us for allowing it to happen. It's not going to happen anymore. I had it stopped, and then we had the COVID fight. We had to fight COVID. We did a great job. We never got the credit. We got credit for military. We got credit for everything. I defeated ISIS. We did unbelievable things. Unbelievable. We got the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cuts in history. When I go to the companies, the big companies, highly sophisticated, I said, so I got you the biggest tax cuts in history, and that was good for jobs. And I got you the biggest regulation cuts in history, and that was good for jobs. If you could only have one, would you take the regulation cuts or the tax cuts? Every single person, and I must have asked the question 200 times over the years, said the regulation cuts were more important than the tax cuts. Can you believe it? You wouldn't think that. But we got you the biggest regulation cuts in history. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, we win. We're going to all win it together. I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. And I will be the only one that can make this statement. I will prevent World War III from happening. You're very close to World War III. If I was president, the Afghanistan disaster, which probably caused Putin to go in, and by the way, he wouldn't have gone in with me. He would have never gone in with me. And he didn't. And by the way, he didn't. But the Afghanistan disaster, not the fact we're getting out. I was getting out. After 21 years, you get the hell out. But I would have kept Bagram. It's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We gave it to them so stupidly. It's one of the biggest airfields in the world. We built it many years ago for billions of dollars. We were going to keep that. We were going to man it, keep it. Think of it, 1 hour away. You know who has it now? China has it now. How stupid are we? Should have kept that. And you know the lift? The lift should have been done at Bagram, not their little local airport where they had riots all over the place and then the bombs started going, killing 13 of our great people. Obliterating, I heard the number this morning, 47. That's maybe the right number because we're looking at 47, you know that, right? Obliterated 47 great young Americans, their legs gone, their arms gone, their face just wiped out. And hundreds of people besides, hundreds of people. The worst catastrophe, the worst, most embarrassing disaster, I think, ever that happened ever in this country. And because of that, I think Putin looked at that, the incompetence, the stupidness of Milley and these guys that don't know what the hell they're doing. And he looked at it and he said, this is a great time to go into Ukraine. But he would have never done it with me. If I was president, the Afghan disaster would have never happened. Ukraine would have never happened. And October 7th, the attack on Israel would have never happened. Remember, Iran was broke. Iran had no money. They were broke. Now they have $250 billion. But we'll get along with Iran. We'll get along with whoever we have to get along with, but it would have never happened. All of the things, and you know what wouldn't have happened? Inflation wouldn't have happened because I had energy low. Inflation was caused by energy going up twice. I will restore a thing called peace through strength. That's what we have. Remember, I'm the only president in 80 years that I started no new wars. I finished some. Totally defeated the ISIS caliphate. In my next term, we will build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our country, a dome the likes of which has not been seen. And it will be entirely built in the USA, and much of it will be built right here in Michigan. Why shouldn't we have the same protection that other countries have, Bill? Why shouldn't we have the same protection that Israel has and that other countries have? And Ronald Reagan wanted to do this many years ago, but honestly, we didn't have the technology. Now we do. 301 missiles were shot at Israel, and almost every one of them was knocked out of the sky. It's an unbelievable technology. And it's our technology, and we're going to use it for our country, and we're going to be a lot safer than not having it. The Iron Dome, we're going to build the great Iron Dome, the latest and the greatest, and much is going to be made right here in Michigan, as you can imagine. And we will not cut one penny from Social Security or Medicare. And they are really, you know, they want to raise the retirement age. Biden wants to raise the retirement age and they're going to. You know why? All of these immigrants coming in, they're trying to put them onto Medicare and Social Security. So not only do they want them to vote, they want to destroy Social Security and Medicare. It's not going to happen, and we're not raising your age. One day, he's going to destroy. First of all, he doesn't have any idea what the hell he's doing. But I kept that promise 4 years ago. Remember, they said, he'll come in and raise Social Security. I went through 4 years. It was never even a topic that was allowed to be discussed. Because we have, between the liquid gold under our feet and all of the other things and the growth mechanism that we have in this country, we don't have to cut Social Security, which people have earned, and we're never going to cut it. And when you hear that stupid guy, that low IQ guy, get up and say, I inherited 9% inflation. False. He inherited 1.4, but really nothing. And when he says, he's going to raise Social Security, no, false. He's going to raise it because he's stupid. That's why he's going to raise it. Don't believe it. They have this line where it goes one after the other. But one thing, it's very simple. They're going to raise your taxes 4 times, and that's there because they don't want to renew the tax cuts that I gave. It's approximately a 4 times increase, and they don't want to renew them. But you can't believe these people when they get up. Biden and I watched Camilla the other day, brilliantly put on Fox. I don't know why Fox does it. Please, Fox, will you please get smart? Will you please get smart? And she's ranting, he is going to destroy Social Security. He's going to destroy Medicare. He's going to destroy this. I mean, just made up, it's just sound bites. It's disinformation. That's the other thing they're good at. They say anything they want to say. I am going to protect your Social Security. We're not going to be raising the number of years. We're not going to raise it by 1 day, let alone 1 year or 5 years or 10 years like some stupid people want to do. We're going to grow our country. It's going to be growth. And it's going to be using the assets and resources that we have, much of it right under the ground. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they have ever been before. We're going to have to work with the Democrat governors and mayors on that. But our cities are just horribly run. And then we have our capital, our beautiful capital in Washington, D.C. We're going to take it over. We're going to clean it up. We're going to renovate it. We're going to rebuild it. We're going to make our capital the most beautiful anywhere in the world. We're going to get rid of the nightmare of murder and crime. And it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world once again, but far more beautiful than it was before. And when you want to go from Michigan to see the Washington Monument, yes, we're keeping the name Washington, we're not changing the name. Or the Jefferson Memorial, where there's a big move to change the name, we're not changing the name. Remember when they were knocking down statues and I was president, and I found an old bill, and I reenacted the old bill. Anybody touching, knocking down, or even trying to harm any of our great statues or monuments goes to jail for a 10-year period with no commutation and no shortening of the sentence. And it was a beautiful sight as we watched everybody leave town. They left town so quickly. They left town. We said, bye, everybody. No, we have to meet people that have evil intentions. They wanted to knock down the Jefferson. If I didn't get the military out to save the Jefferson Memorial, they would have done a job. But I found this old law that today we're almost incapable of producing things like that. 10 years, and there's nothing like good behavior, and you get out in 2 days. It's 10 years in jail if you touch our monuments, if you even try to knock them down. I had a news conference, I signed it, and everybody left town. It was a beautiful thing to do. We're not doing it. We won't be changing the name of Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln, like they did our forts. I get out of office, they did our forts, right? We won 2 world wars of those forts, and now they have different names, many of them. Fort Bragg, and the people that live next to Fort Bragg are not happy. They're not happy. They changed the name. We won 2 world wars out of Fort Bragg, and then they decide to change the name because they think it's politically correct. On day 1, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and any other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the shoulders of our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep men immediately, day 1, out of women's sports. And I will fully uphold our very important but under siege Second Amendment, as I did for 4 years. And I got the full endorsement from the NRA. You saw that. They gave us their full, strongest endorsement. No, for 4 years I protected, and it was not that easy to do. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech, and I will secure our elections. Our goal will be 1 day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. It's very simple. But until then, Republicans must win. We have to win, 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 win. We want a landslide that is too big to rig. I said it before. I'll say it 100, 200, 300 times before that very spectacular date. But, remember, November 5th is not really the date. It starts in early September, North Carolina and some others, because now we have these ridiculous laws where you can vote before the election, after the election. We got to have 1 day voting, 1 day voting. What happened to those ballots that were over there last week? Oh, sir, we moved them around a little bit. Oh, really? I mean, think of it. You vote 2 months early. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. Where are all the ballots that happened? Why are they using a shovel? They're shoveling off. You ever see what goes on? Take a look at what happened in Georgia. They're shoveling ballots into wheelbarrows, moving them around. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and his horrible Biden administration have done. They're destroying our country. They are destroying our country. And, you know, we get up and we have levity, we have laughter, but honest, there's really nothing funny about it. They got millions and millions of people, many of whom are criminals and terrorists, flowing through, and people from mental institutions flowing through into our country totally unchecked. And they move many of them into hotels. Some of them are luxury hotels. Hotel owners are making a fortune. They're destroying their hotel in a certain way, but they're making a fortune. And our military is living on the street with nothing. And yet they're putting these people into luxury hotels. So if you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know and vote. You got to vote early, vote absentee. I don't care how you vote. You know, they all say, oh, sir, we have to vote early. Well, you know, a lot of times you vote early, that's gone. You got to vote, and you got to follow your vote. Make sure it doesn't get canceled out. You can do it. Vote on election day. I don't care how you vote. You've got to vote. Vote early if you want. Everyone's saying vote early. I don't. But look, you got to vote, and you got to get out and vote. You got to protect your vote. That's what Michael's doing. He did it better than anybody else in the country in North Carolina. That stayed right here when Georgia went down, when Pennsylvania went down. It stayed right there. All of a sudden, in certain states, they found all these votes. A totally rigged election. We're never going to let it happen again, because this time if it happens, we're not going to have a country. We won't have even a semblance of a country left. And if you want to help us ensure election integrity, sign up. It's called ProtectTheVote.com. ProtectTheVote.com. Sign up. And that's on election integrity. You got to watch and watch very carefully. So in conclusion, from Marquette to Midland, from Lansing to Flint, and from Detroit to right here in Grand Rapids. We've had great victories in Grand Rapids. Remember when we won the state of Michigan? Now, we did much better the second time, but I won't mention that. But remember, and I was at Grand Rapids, and we came in, and we had a crowd like nobody ever saw late in the evening. Remember that? You were there? And we had a crowd like nobody's ever seen before. I said, why would we lose Michigan? And we ended up winning Michigan. I was right. Actually, Bill Clinton told Hillary that he was in Michigan. You're going to lose. You know, he's a good politician. You had a natural instinct. He said, you're going to lose Michigan. You're going to lose Wisconsin. They said, whoa, why are we listening to this man tell us this? And he was right. Wisconsin and Michigan. I said, why are we going to lose? We had 49,000 people show up. She had like 300 people show up. I said, why are we going to lose? And we won. We won Michigan. And then we did much better the second time, but bad things happened. We're not going to let that happen anymore. We stand on the shoulders of the brave Michigan patriots and tough Michigan workers who manned the first assembly lines. You remember that? Does anybody remember that? It's a long time ago. Anybody remembers that? They're extremely old. Is there anybody that wants to admit? They revolutionized industries and turned the state into a manufacturing powerhouse like no other. And we're going to bring it back. And we're going to bring it back. I'm not talking about lots of other industries. I'm talking about the auto industry, because it's such a big industry. I can say we're going to bring back cement. We're going to bring back all sorts. I'm just talking very simple. It's so simple. It's going to happen so fast. You're going to be at a level as though you were from 30, 40 years ago. You're going to manufacture cars again at a level that you haven't seen in many, many decades. You probably have to get rid of this fool, this stupid idiot representing the United Auto Workers, because he sells the auto. You know, I'm much more popular than anybody with the auto workers. We're going to get 95% of their vote. But they have a guy that, I mean, he pushes the electric mandate, and they're going to be made in China. They got to get rid of that guy. He's bad news. Your Michigan ancestors gave us Motown, the Mustang, and the might of the American Midwest. And it really is a might. They forged the steel, laid the railroads. tilled the fields, fought the battles, and won the victories that made America into the greatest and most powerful nation in the history of the world. It's true. It was the most powerful. But now we are a nation in decline, and it's a very serious decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation run by fools and stupid people. We're a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. We're a nation that has lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. We're not going to let it happen. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. With the right leadership, every disaster crooked Joe Biden has created can be fixed, and very, very quickly. Every problem can be solved, and every wrong can be rectified. By this time next year, America's borders will be strong, sealed, and secure. Very easily. Get ready, Tom Homan. Inflation will be in full retreat. Our economy will be roaring back. Optimism will be surging. You will have your confidence back. We don't have any confidence. That's like an athlete that can't sink the shot, can't hit the ball, lost his confidence. We're going to have you hitting the ball again. We're going to have you playing at the top of your game. The American dream will be thriving again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Law and justice will reign all throughout our land. Freedom will be restored. The flame of liberty will be burning bright. Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, will be a fading memory of the past, and our great silent majority, including the once forgotten men and women of our country, will be the one shaping America's magnificent future when I am the 47th president of the United States of America. Thank you. Because we are all Americans, and together we will show November 5th to be the most important day in the history of America. It will be the most important day. And when we turn it, our country's going to be great again. And if we don't turn it, our country is finished. You know it, and I know it, and everybody knows it. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michigan. Thank you very, very much.
Okay. Due to the banks, TV stations, internet, whatnot, all shutting down because of that software update. Well, I wasn't able to get Thursday's speeches uploaded to YouTube. So I'm going to put together right now what I have so far, and then the rest, after that ends, the rest I can upload tonight. So, but one of the best things that I liked of Thursday's night's convention was when this person spoke. Let's take a look. before I end this live stream, I just wanted to go over a few things here. There was quite a few there. I will be uploading their speeches after I get done with this live. But there is one that I do want to show you, and it was professional entertainer and wrestler Hulk Hogan. Let's take a look at what he had to say. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I don't get no channel strike. I'm going to mute this for right now.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. You know something? When I came here tonight, there was so much energy in this room. I felt maybe I was in Madison Square Garden getting ready to win another world title. Or maybe I thought the vibe was so intense, the energy was so crazy, it felt like maybe I was gonna press that no-good, stinky giant over my head and slam him through the mat, brother. But what I found out was I was in a room full of real Americans, brother. And at the end of the day, with our leader up there, my hero, that gladiator, we're gonna bring America back together. One real American at a time, brother. You know something? I've seen some great tag teams in my time. Hulk Hogan and, ooh, yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. But you know something? I see the greatest tag team of my life standing upon us, getting ready to straighten this country out for all the real Americans. You know, even though you guys are real Americans, you better get ready. Because when Donald J. Trump becomes the President of the United States, all the real Americans are going to be nicknamed Trumpites. Because all the Trumpites are going to be running wild for 4 years. So with the power of Donald J. Trump and all the Trumpites running wild, America is going to get back on track, and like Donald J. Trump said, America is going to be great again. You know, when I look out and I see all the real Americans, I think about how Donald Trump, his family was compromised. When I look out there and I see Donald Trump, I think about how his business was compromised. But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next President of the United States? Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again. You know something, Trumpites? I didn't come here as Hulk Hogan, but I just had to give you a little taste. You know, my name is Terry Bollea. And as an entertainer, I love you too. And as an entertainer, I tried to stay out of politics. But after everything that's happened to our country over the past 4 years, and everything that happened last weekend, I can no longer stay silent. I'm here tonight because I want the world to know that Donald Trump is a real American hero. And I'm proud to support my hero as the next president of this United States. You know, guys, I've known Donald Trump for over 35 years. You know, hold on a second, hold on. I just had a flashback. Man. This is really tripping. You know, the last time I was up on stage, Donald Trump was sitting at ringside at the Trump Plaza. I was bleeding like a pig, and I won the world title right in front of Donald J. Trump. And you know something? He's gonna win in November, and we're all gonna be champions again when he wins. And like I said, I've known that man for over 35 years, and he's always been the biggest patriot, and he still is. He's always told you exactly what he thought, and he still does, brother. And no matter the odds, he always finds a way to win. And when he's back in our White House, America is gonna start winning again. You know, guys, over my career, I've been in the ring with some of the biggest, some of the baddest dudes on the planet. And I've squared off against warriors, ooh yeah, savages. And I've even, like I said, body slammed giants in the middle of the ring. And I know tough guys. But let me tell you something, brother. Donald Trump is the toughest of them all. They've thrown everything at Donald Trump. All the investigations, the impeachments, the court cases, and he's still standing and kicking their butts. You know, we never had it better than the Trump years. Back then, we had a thriving economy. We had strong borders. We had safe streets. We had peace and respect around the world. But then we lost it all in a blink of an eye. Crime is out of control. The border is out of control. The price of food and gas and housing is out of control. And the only person who can clean this up is Donald Trump. You know, guys, I really, really love this country. And I've lived the American dream. And I want my kids, your kids, and all those little teeny Hulkamaniacs out there to live the American dream too. This November, guys, we can save the American dream for everyone. And Donald Trump is the president who will get the job done. So you criminals, all you lowlifes, all you scumbags, all you drug dealers, and all you crooked politicians need to answer one question, brother. What you gonna do when Donald Trump and all the Trumpomaniacs run wild on you, brother? God bless you, and thank you.
Wow, how about that national anthem sung by Mary Milben? I'm U.S. Senator Steve Daines, and I represent the great state of Montana, right over there. You know, when I was a kid growing up in Montana, my grandma taught me an important lesson, and that is to have a thankful heart, to count your blessings. So this morning, as I was headed down to breakfast, I thanked God for my sweet wife, Cindy, of 37 years. I thanked God for our 4 children and their spouses. I thanked God for our 6 grandchildren. And then I thanked God that in 6 months, Joe Biden will no longer be president of the United States. Now think about this moment we're in here this evening. It was just 5 days ago. We were a quarter-inch away from having a memorial service instead of a nominating convention. And we thank God here tonight for protecting President Trump. But we have important work to do, because going forward, we must fight, fight, fight. And I will tell you, as chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, I'm working with President Trump to win the Senate majority and to fire Chuck Schumer. Back in early 2023, President Trump and I met at Mar-a-Lago. We agreed our highest priority is electing an America First Senate majority that has his back. Senators that will stand with President Trump. And tonight, I want to speak directly to the voters of West Virginia, of Montana, of Ohio, of Pennsylvania, of Nevada, of Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Virginia, and New Mexico. And here's why. Because your Democrat senators are lying to you. Look, they talk like moderates, but they vote like radicals. You know, they say they're with you, but they vote with Joe Biden. Never forget, these liberal senators voted to impeach President Trump twice. And I will tell you, an America First majority will stand with President Trump. These liberal senators allowed millions of illegal immigrants into our country. An America First majority will secure the border, and we're going to build the wall. These liberal senators shut down the Keystone Pipeline. An America First majority, we're going to drill, baby, drill. These liberal senators want to take away your Second Amendment rights. Those are fighting words back in Montana. An America First majority will protect your precious right to keep and bear arms. These liberal senators covered for Biden after 13 American service members were killed during his botched Afghanistan withdrawal. An America First majority, by the way, I'm the son of a U.S. Marine, an America First majority is going to stand with our military. These liberal senators stood with anti-Semitic mobs. An America First majority is going to stand with Israel. And look, these liberal senators want boys in girls' sports. I'm the father of 2 daughters. They want men in your daughter's and my daughter's locker room. And you know, they can't even define what a woman is. But let me tell you something. Back in Montana, we know the difference between a bull and a cow. We must replace these liberal senators with great Republican leaders like Jim Justice and Baby Dog in West Virginia, like Tim Sheehy in Montana, like Bernie Moreno in Ohio, like Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania, like Sam Brown in Nevada, Mike Rogers in Michigan, Eric Hovde right here in Wisconsin, Hung Cao in Virginia, Nella Domenici in New Mexico, and of course, Carrie Lake in Arizona. We must elect an America First Senate majority that will stand with President Donald J. Trump. But look, right now, the left-wing billionaires are massively outspending us. That's what's keeping me up at night. And we need your help. You can go to Senate24.com. Senate24.com today. Help us fight back. Because together, we're going to win back the Senate. We're going to grab that gavel out of Schumer's hands. We're going to deliver a historic victory for President Trump. And we're going to make America great again. God bless you.
Okay, next up is Representative Richard Hudson.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, United States Senator Steve Daines of Montana.
Oops, sorry about that.
Wow, how about that national anthem sung by Mary Milman? I'm U.S. Senator Steve Daines, and I represent the great state of Montana right over there.
Gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee, Congressman Richard Hudson of North Carolina.
My name is Richard Hudson, and I'm a congressman from North Carolina. Great to see my North Carolina folks over here. Also want to acknowledge my brilliant, amazing, smoking hot wife, Renee, who worked 4 years in the Trump White House. She's here with us tonight. Love you. I love you too, AJ. I also want to acknowledge my son, Lane, who's at home watching us on TV. And finally, I want to acknowledge God above, who redeemed this center and on Saturday saved President Donald Trump's life. Now, my job as NRCC chairman is to grow the House majority. But in my district of North Carolina, we have the largest military base in the world, Fort Bragg, home of the Airborne and Special Forces. The men and women there, the men and women at Fort Bragg are willing to give their lives for the flag. And if they make that ultimate sacrifice, that same flag accompanies them home on that final journey. They deserve a commander-in-chief who respects them and who honors their service. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is that commander-in-chief. You see, Donald Trump loves America. He literally embraces the flag. But extreme Democrats, they'll burn it in the streets and on college campuses. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they stand with those flag burners because they want to rule over you. But House Republicans, we stand with President Trump. We stand for America, and we stand up for the flag. Because House Republicans understand we don't rule over you. We work for you. In just the last 2 years, House Republicans have passed an historic border security bill that would lock down Biden's open border. We passed legislation to unleash energy production and lower cost. We passed legislation to remove woke indoctrination from our military. We passed the Parents' Bill of Rights because we think parents ought to make decisions about how their children are educated. And we impeached Biden's failed border chief, Alejandro Mayorkas. But Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer killed those bills and blocked any progress for the American people. For the last 2 years, House Republicans have fought alone. Ladies and gentlemen, we need backup. To save America, we need to grow our majority. And we need President Donald Trump back in the White House. A Republican House is also essential to ensuring Donald Trump's success as our president. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what Nancy Pelosi's protege, Hakeem Jeffries, would do if he was Speaker of the House to undermine Donald Trump? If Democrats control the House, they'll block every tax cut, budget, border bill, and crime bill that he proposes. They'll hold sham investigations and hearings to bog down his agenda. They'll impeach him for doing his job. But we're not going to let that happen. Together, a Republican House and President Donald Trump will preserve the historic Trump tax cuts and eliminate taxes on tips. Together, a Republican House and President Donald Trump will fund the police. We will rebuild our military. We will stand up to communist China. And ladies and gentlemen, we will finish the wall. A House majority will make Donald Trump's second term even more successful than his first. So let me ask you, let me hear from you. Who can we count on? Who can we count on to return us to unprecedented American prosperity? Who can we count on to stand up to our enemies? Who can we count on for a secure border and safer neighborhoods? Absolutely right. We can count on President Donald Trump. So let's work together. Let's elect President Donald Trump. Let's grow our House Republican majority. Together we can make it happen. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Donald Trump. And God bless America. Thank you.
American businesswoman Diane Hendricks.
Good evening. My name is Diane Hendricks. And I'm living proof that the American dream is possible with hard work and determination. I grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. I was one of 9 girls, no boys. I dreamed of moving to the city and wearing a blue suit. But at the age of 17, I became pregnant. That was not part of my plan. But I truly believe that every life is a sacred gift from God. And I give thanks every day for my son. As a single mom, I worked 2 jobs to pay the bills. I found my passion in the field of real estate, which is still my passion. When I met my husband, Ken, he was a roofing contractor, and together we saw an opportunity and a need to develop a distribution chain. And we risked everything we had to start that company. Today, ABC Supply employs over 22,000 Americans. We are the largest roofing distributor in the country. But what's even more important is we are creating these jobs right here in the United States of America. I lost my husband 16 years ago. It was the toughest time in my life. Thank God I had our 7 children to be my support. But I had to decide whether to fight or fold. And I chose to fight. Since then, I've quadrupled the size of our companies, and to my surprise, I was recently just recognized as the most successful self-made woman in American history. So to all of you aspiring entrepreneurs out there, if I can make it, you can make it too. My success story as a teenage mom without a college degree was only possible because I was so blessed to be born in the United States of America. But today, the American dream is under threat. Since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took over the offices, prices have risen over 20%. Aspiring entrepreneurs can't afford to take out a loan at 7, 10, 15% interest. Regulations have surged, and the administration has proposed $7 trillion in tax increases. I know how hard it is to build a company from nothing. And we need a president who understands that too. We need a builder back in the White House. Someone who will cut the job-killing regulations, lower taxes on working families, and give the power back to the American people. In life, it's easy to quit, and it's very hard to win. President Trump is not a quitter. He's a fighter, and I am confident that if we do all of our part, we can and we will win right here in Wisconsin. And he will win for America over the next 4 years. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Diane Evans, volunteer and Republican Executive Committee woman from Palm Beach, Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Diane Evans, volunteer and Republican Executive Committee woman from Palm Beach, Florida.
All right, again, OBS is acting up on me again, and it's not showing the video, but I have no idea.
Hello, Milwaukee. My name is Diane Evans. I'm a volunteer with more than 1,000 hours working for the Trump campaign since last year. If you told me I'd be here 5 years ago, I'd have said you're crazy. But here I am, and I'm very excited to re-elect Donald Trump as President of the United States this November. I've never spoken at a convention before. I've never used a teleprompter before. But I figure if Joe Biden can, I can manage all right. I'm pretty new to politics. I voted my whole life, but I've never got involved as a volunteer. I was busy raising my family, spending time with my husband, starting a small business, and walking the dog. Moms are busy people. When it came to politics, I always figured let everybody else take care of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Diane Evans, volunteer and Republican Executive Committee woman from Palm Beach, Florida.
Hello, Milwaukee. My name is Diane Evans. I'm a volunteer with more than 1,000 hours working for the Trump campaign since last year. If you told me I'd be here 5 years ago, I'd have said you're crazy. But here I am, and I'm very excited to re-elect Donald Trump as President of the United States this November. I've never spoken at a convention before. I've never used a teleprompter before. But I figure if Joe Biden can, I can manage all right. I'm pretty new to politics. I voted my whole life, but I've never got involved as a volunteer. I was busy raising my family, spending time with my husband, starting a small business, and walking the dog. Moms are busy people. When it came to politics, I always figured let everybody else take care of it. But then the 2020 election happened. After that, you better believe I got involved. I joined my local Republican Executive Committee. And when Trump headquarters asked for a volunteer to help with office staff, I started showing up whenever they needed me, or if they didn't need me, I showed up anyway. I showed up once a week and did little things like refilling coffee creamers, even taking out the garbage. And now I'm helping to take out the garbage at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. As long as I can remember, these politicians have said what they think we want to hear, then they do just what the hell they want. And Joe Biden has been the worst offender for the last 50 years. President Trump is different. I knew he would get things done for the American people, and he did. He isn't part of the swamp. He's going to drain the swamp. The Democrats are going to do everything in their power to stop him. We can't rest for a minute. If you're not sure how to get involved, reach out to your local Republican Party. And most important, get out and vote Republican on November 5th. Tell 20 people to tell 20 people to vote. That's how we can get our landslide. And they can't cheat or rig their way out of a landslide. I know that together we can win. We can all take out the garbage in Washington, D.C. And we can make America great again. God bless President Trump, and God bless Team Trump, and thank you so much. I'll see you all out there.
Okay, sorry about that. But coming up next is Linda McMahon, the former administration, the business administration.
Thank you. Well, hello, Milwaukee, and good evening, America. Let me take 1 second to say hello to my fellow delegates from Connecticut. My name is Linda McMahon, and I am the chair of the America First Policy Institute. I'm perhaps one of the few people who's been privileged to call Donald Trump a colleague and a boss, but he's also a friend. Let me share a little story that's probably not the typical Donald Trump story. I had a meeting scheduled with him at Mar-a-Lago, and as he welcomed me, his little 4-year-old granddaughter ran up to him. He scooped her up with delight and asked her, "Who's the most beautiful girl in the world?" And she said, "Me." Then he asked, "And who do you love the most in the world?" And she said, "You, Grandpa." And he kissed her on both cheeks. Then she whisked off his hat and mussed his hair. And he smiled with the love that only a grandfather could have given. I first met Donald Trump when I was the CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. For fun, he became part of some of the most compelling and highest rated storylines in the company's history. And when he became president, I was honored to serve in his cabinet, running the Small Business Administration. I traveled the country, talking to business owners and job creators. They knew they had a president who understood them and fought for them. He knew that small businesses are the engine of the American economy,
and the Trump tax cuts proved to be like rocket fuel for them. Almost every business owner I spoke with was using their tax savings to grow their businesses. And ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. economy was flourishing.
That at no moment during my time in the government was more poignant for me than one that happened in 2018. I traveled with the president to view the destruction which Hurricane Florence had levied on my hometown of New Bern, North Carolina. I stepped off of Air Force One and walked side by side with the President of the United States through the hangar where my father had been a shop foreman and my mom had been a budget analyst. I watched Donald Trump walk through neighborhoods of my childhood, comforting those who had suffered such great damages. Because he was a builder, he talked to them about what it would take to rebuild, what kind of materials they should use. And he didn't just show a personal interest, he was one of them. But now Joe Biden and the Democrats want to penalize small businesses again by hiking their taxes. But when he's reelected, Donald Trump will make those tax cuts permanent. And he will also offer new tax cuts like no taxes on tips. Instead of taxing American companies, Donald Trump put tariffs on China that raised billions of dollars and protected American industries. And if reelected, he'll do it again. President Trump is a job creator and the best friend American workers have ever had in the White House. He is a champion of the forgotten men and women, as I have experienced firsthand. But the media doesn't like to acknowledge that very often. Donald Trump is not only a fighter, ladies and gentlemen, he is a good man. He has the heart of a lion and the soul of a warrior. And I believe that if necessary, he would stand at the gates of hell to defend our country. He loves this country, and he would do anything to defend it and to protect us from all harm. I am confident that he will make America great again. And why? Because he did it before. So I ask all of you here tonight, and those of you who are watching from home, to re-elect Donald J. Trump as the 47th President of the United States. Thank you, and good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 70th United States Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo.
Good evening. Good evening, my fellow Americans. It's great to be with you. A special shout out to Kansas over there, my good friends from Kansas. You know, I had the incredible privilege to serve as President Trump's CIA director and Secretary of State. It was my greatest honor to work with him every single day to serve you, the American people. Now you all are paying attention, so you know what the Trump administration achieved, but it's worth going through a few of these accomplishments. Let's start with this. There were no new American wars. Our border, our southern border, closed. It may seem like a long time ago, but when we took office, there were people's heads being cut off at the beaches. We destroyed ISIS and its caliphate. And you know, here's another fun fact. We never lost our Secretary of Defense for 2 weeks either. You'll remember, for those 4 years, the evil of Vladimir Putin was held at bay. When we walked out, January of 2021, the Iranian regime was afraid, and the people of Israel were strong and secure, and we treated them like the friend and ally that they need to be. Everywhere we went, religious freedom was protected. We held 3 summits in North Korea, and North Korea was quieted. We'd begun an honorable exit from Afghanistan, and not a single Chinese spy balloon flew across the United States of America. 4 years. Had I been the Secretary of State and a Chinese spy balloon flew across our country, I would have been the former Secretary of State, and rightfully so. You know, under President Trump, the Chinese Communist Party, which to this day presents the greatest threat to our nation from outside of our country, we confronted it like never before. Look, ladies and gentlemen, in short, we put America first every single day. "42 months on, what has Joe Biden and Kamala Harris done? And their leftist handlers, what have they delivered to us for security and prosperity? Almost nothing. Let's start with this. You saw some of them last night. 13 new Gold Star families from Afghanistan. As an Army veteran, I want to speak to everybody who served in Afghanistan. I'm disgusted by the Biden administration's incompetent pullout from that country. To those of you who served there, know this. Know that your service was honorable, that you saved American lives, and that the Pompeos love and admire you for what you did for America. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Every one of you has served in uniform, and the families of those, you deserve a president who will not check his watch while he is honoring our fallen brothers and sisters. It was indecent. And of course, it was that very weakness we saw in Afghanistan that prompted Putin's butchery in Ukraine. Last week, we saw what it meant. A children's hospital bombed, innocents killed. It did not have to be. And now, of course, a second war in Gaza. President Biden won't even talk about the fact that Americans are still being held there by the Iranian regime. Contrast that with what we did when Americans were wrongfully held. President Trump sent me to North Korea to bring home 3 American pastors. We brought them home. Along with dozens of other hostages, and we did so without paying 1 single penny to the terrorists. And what about Iran today? When Joe Biden eased up on President Trump's maximum pressure campaign, we gave money to the Ayatollah so he could cut more checks to the genocidal maniacs who conducted attacks, barbaric attacks in Israel. And now, of course, closer to home, a massive national security challenge. Our southern border is a welcome mat. It's a welcome mat for Islamist terrorists, drug dealers, Chinese spies, and violent criminals. Ladies and gentlemen, President Biden sold out our citizens and our security and our sovereignty, and we need to get it back, and I am confident that we will get it back. I had this incredible privilege to serve as your top diplomat. I saw how the world always looks to our nation as the unrivaled example of what a free society should look like. But unfortunately, President Biden struts the global stage. Maybe I should say he shuffles the global stage. He talks a big game about American values. But what's he done at home? What's he shown the world? What have he and his leftist base actually shown other nations? He's censored free speech here at home. He's put woke into the military that I and you so desperately love. We must reclaim it. He put it in our schools as well. He's weaponized the justice system against our political opponents. And even to this day, as we sit here today, he and Vice President Harris are providing appeasement to the pro-Hamas radicals on our streets here inside the United States. And even worse, today this administration treats illegals better than our own citizens. That is indecent. And the entire administration has failed to tell us the truth that we all know and is so dangerous to our nation. The truth that Joe Biden can't handle that 3 a.m. phone call. Indeed, he won't take a phone call after about 4 p.m. My call to you tonight is really straightforward. It's really simple. We can't trust the Biden administration, and that means we have work to do to uphold American values. It is up to those of us in the room tonight and those of you watching tonight. Donald Trump will every day, I saw it firsthand, he will put America first. So let's do what's right and what's important. Let's elect a president who isn't ashamed of our nation and will never apologize for our country. And when we do, we will put a strong America First leader back in the White House. We'll re-elect Donald J. Trump, and we will make America special, exceptional, and of course, great again. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our veterans and the United States of America. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Okay, the next one that's coming up is Pastor Lorenzo School, and he had a very good thing to say, because yes, it was a miracle that that bullet did not reach further and kill him. But you're going to hear something. This was quite amazing, because it is a miracle. Here's what he had to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pastor Lorenzo Sewell from Michigan.
My name is Pastor Lorenzo Sewell. I have the honor and the privilege of being the senior pastor at 180 Church. And we were blessed last month to have President Donald Trump come to Detroit, Michigan. Let's go! Can you imagine it? Can you imagine President Donald Trump coming to a city and calling a pastor like me, a pastor who was born and raised on the east side of Detroit. I was mentored by murderers. I was a student of the street. But I had a radical experience with Jesus Christ that changed my life forever. Come on, if you believe that Jesus still changed lives, come on, put your hands together and give our great God great glory. President Trump came to a church that is in a Democratic stronghold. He came to a church to listen to average, everyday Americans like you and like me. He came to a church not to speak to us, but to listen to us. He came into a church, and a lot of people, they were upset. A lot of people, they would ask me questions. Why would you allow Donald Trump to come into your church? How many know that the Bible says we are all sinners and we all need the grace of God? How many know that the Bible says, he who has not sinned, let him cast the first stone? President Donald Trump, he came during his birthday weekend. Let me ask you a question. Grand old party, what would you do for your birthday if you were worth $6.7 billion? What would you do for your birthday? Would you come to Detroit? Would you come into the hood? He came to the hood because he cares about average, everyday Americans. Grand old party, I need to ask you a question. What would you ask for your birthday? If you could go to Mar-a-Lago or if you could go to New York, what would you ask for your birthday? He asked for prayer. I believe that prayer is preventative and prayer is proactive. I believe that praying in the name of Jesus changes everything. And when we prayed for President Trump, only God knew that 30 days later, there would be a miracle by a millimeter. Only God knew that if we prayed for him during his birthday, there would be a miracle by a millimeter. If President Trump had moved 1 millimeter, he wouldn't have been here on Monday to talk to us about how America was going to be made wealthy again. If President Donald Trump would have moved just a millimeter, he wouldn't have been here on Tuesday to talk about how he was going to make America secure again. If President Donald Trump would have moved just a millimeter, he wouldn't have been here on Wednesday to tell us how he was going to make America strong again. And if President Trump would have moved just a millimeter, we would not be hearing tonight how he was going to make America great again. Before I take my seat, I just got to talk to you about something called providence and something called sovereignty. God's sovereignty is his ability to be able to do what he wants when he wants because he's God. And God's providence, it's when he does what he wants, when he wants for all of you. Did you know that President Trump was shot on 6/11? And do you know that Ephesians chapter number 6, verse number 11 says, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power? To all my Democrat friends, I want to ask you one question. Do you know anybody that was the 45th president? He was convicted of 34 accounts. He raised $53 million in 24 hours and could be the 47th president of the United States in America. And he was shot one time. Do you know anybody like that? To all my friends back in Detroit who are Democrats, I want to ask you just one simple question. You can't deny the power of God on this man's life. You can't deny that God protected him. You cannot deny that it was a millimeter miracle that was able to save this man's life. Could it be that Jesus Christ preserved him for such a time as this? Could it be? Could it be that when we prayed for him when he came to the round table in Detroit, that Jesus asked and he received, that we sought him and then he found protection? Could it be that the King of glory, the Lord God strong and mighty, the God who is mighty in battle, protected Donald Trump because he wants to use him for such a time as this? If you believe that, come on, put your hands together and give our great God great glory.
Amen on that, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pastor Lorenzo Sewell from Michigan. Gentlemen, please welcome John Neaporti from Florida.
It's an honor to be here this evening. I'm the PGA head golf professional at Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach, Florida. We all know that President Trump loves his family because we see that. And we all know that President Trump is willing to die for our country because we just witnessed that. But what I'm here to tell you tonight is that Donald Trump is a great boss and one hell of a golfer. At our club championship in March, I watched President Trump hit a perfect 210-yard 4-iron to within 10 feet of the hole. Yep. He needed to sink that putt to win. Do you think he sank it? You better believe you sunk that putt. Donald Trump, 21 club championships. Joe Biden, 0. For non-golfers out there, that's a pretty good record. That's real good. That's not good, that's great. 25 years ago, I was working multiple jobs, and one of those jobs was caddying at Trump International, and that's where I met Mr. Trump. My caddy job eventually would turn into a full-time job.
One day, I was out caddying for Mr. Trump when he mentioned to me that he needed to find a teaching pro. He knew I could play, so he said, tomorrow, dress like a golf pro and come out and play golf with me. So in true Mr. Trump fashion, on the first tee the next day, he tees up his ball, whacks it right down the middle of the fairway. And I turned to him and I said, hey, I'm pretty nervous. And he said, John, you just relax and play your game. And it was great advice, because after 9 holes, he turned to me and he said, I've seen enough. You've got the job. Thank you.
Later, I went on to become the head golf professional, and I'll never forget that moment with Mr. Trump. He truly changed my life. That's who Donald Trump is. For 25 years, I've seen his generosity and his remarkable character. Firsthand, his entire family reflects these values as well. With all the hate the president gets, I think to myself, how can someone go through all this? He could have chosen a quiet life. He could have played more golf. But he cares so deeply about America and our people. He just keeps working, and he does it for us. Now it's our turn to support him. So let's help him. Let's hear it. Make America great again. That's it. Thank you, President Trump, for believing in me and in our country. As much as I'll miss him in the White House or in the clubhouse, we need to vote him back in the White House. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Zach Witkoff from New York.
Good evening, Milwaukee. I'm Zach Witkoff. I am deeply honored to stand before you tonight and introduce my father. This moment holds special significance as I'm about to become a father myself. Thank you. The nation my son is born into in December will be shaped by the choice we make this November. I saw my father's remarkable journey from relying on a small loan to becoming one of the country's most successful developers. He showed me that success comes from hard work, not handouts. When I joined his business, I started at the bottom, literally, handling plumbing jobs and repairing sewage lines late at night in New York City. That's how he started too. I vividly recall him spending New Year's Eve fixing a broken sewage tank with a bear of a man named Shecky. You see, they couldn't afford to call in a crew. They were the crew. Years later, Shecky was still by my dad's side, and he became my first boss. He once told me he would run through a wall for my dad because my dad never asked him to do anything that he wouldn't do himself. And that's exactly how my family feels about our dear friend, President Donald J. Trump. We have seen him stand shoulder to shoulder with the American people, time and again, even when it wasn't easy, even when he could be doing something else. Even after getting hit by live sniper fire, he stood with us, my fellow Americans, and that is why we stand with him. And you know what? He makes it fun, too. President Trump and the First Lady were the guest of honor at my wedding at the beautiful Mar-a-Lago Club. The president tore up the dance floor until 3 in the morning with his signature moves. You guys know those moves. The essence of what my dad taught me: hard work, unwavering loyalty, and perseverance. That is the essence of Donald Trump. As long as we stand united with President Trump, it will remain the essence of the nation that my son and all of our children grow up in. God bless America, God bless Donald Trump, and God bless the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present my father, Stephen Witkoff.
Good evening, everybody. That song that you just heard was American Trilogy by Elvis. It was playing for a reason. A lot of people don't know this about my dear friend, President Trump, but he's a big music guy. And he's got a playlist, and he's the DJ wherever he goes. See, I stand before you tonight not just as a speaker, not just as someone who came up as a builder with the president in the world of real estate, but as someone who has had the profound privilege of calling President Donald J. Trump a true and dear friend for many, many years in good times and bad times. And of all the songs he has shared with me over the years, that is the song that best captures him, especially those words, "His truth is marching on." I thought of that song after my dear friend was shot a few days ago. I gave him a call. I expected to leave him a voicemail, so it surprised me when he answered the phone. His first words surprised me as well. He'd just come within an inch of his own life ending, but he picked up the phone and said, "Hi, Steve. I'm really glad you called. How are you? How are your kids?" It surprised me, but it shouldn't have. I know this man very well. President Trump is as kind and compassionate a man as I've ever met in my lifetime. I've seen the truth of President Trump, and it marches on with me tonight. I know that many here and watching at home have felt that kind of a connection with the president. It's real. I have never seen him refuse a question from somebody, decline a photo, or ignore someone's story or concerns. Everyone he meets gets a family member's embrace from him. I have felt that warmth so many times over the years. Just last week, I told the president about a moment I had with his 3 sons and how impressed I was with them. He looked at me with a wistful smile, blowing a kiss, and it was a special moment between us as fathers. When my dad fell gravely ill, President Trump didn't just send a note. He didn't just offer words of comfort. He showed up as he always does. He was there, treating my parents with kindness and respect. Including my mom, who's 91 and here tonight dressed in red and is going to be voting for the president. Many Americans have only witnessed his leadership on TV, but I have seen his humanity in the quiet moments, away from the spotlight, in hospital rooms he didn't have to be in, where his presence brought real solace in a dark hour for my family and many other families. That's who he is. When times are really tough, when he's got everything to lose and nothing to gain, Donald Trump shows up and he's there for you. Thank you. When I lost my boy Andrew to an opioid overdose, the pain was unbearable. But as usual, Donald Trump showed up. After he became the President Trump, even amid all the responsibilities of his office, he reached out and invited me to speak about Andrew at a conference on opioids hosted by the First Lady, providing a platform to honor my son's memory. And when the day of the conference came, he went out of his way that day to come and put his hand on my shoulder and say, "Steve," as he led me up to the lectern, "tell the world about your boy." My boy was the best of us. Where we lived in New York City, a Trump building, 502 Park Avenue, there were 12 homeless people who stayed outside by the church next to the property. My son got to know them all. He fed them every evening. He became their friend. When he passed away, all 12 came to his funeral. He and President Trump shared something in common. My boy stood up for people, no matter which side of the train tracks they came from, exactly as the president does for everybody. Standing here today, I still feel my boy's hand on my shoulder. After Andrew passed away, I found myself clinging to my son's memory, even his things. His college ID is in my pocket right now. I wear his ring since he died. And I came today with his watch on. I kept his guitar too, and thought I would keep that guitar forever. But I gave it to my dear friend, Andrew's friend, and fellow music lover, Donald Trump. I wanted President Trump to have something with which to remember my son. President Trump didn't say something nice to me and put it in a closet somewhere. He put it right out front at his Trump International West Palm Beach property, where he and I both see it whenever we walk in and play, and where everyone who walks into that beautiful building sees it as well as an acknowledgement to my boy, a sacred tribute to a true friend who's gone, and a cause that remains opioid abuse. Thank you. Standing here today with my boy's hand on my shoulder, I know I'll then. His mom and I can only hear the chords of memory now, and we will always hear them. But I know my dear friend, President Trump, hears them too. You don't see this man's reverence, his steady loyalty, his true empathy in the TV coverage. But this is the truth about President Trump, the man I have come to know and admire and love, a man whose truth is marching on. It is a dark hour for America, but there's nobody I trust more in this moment than this man. A man who in the darkest hours shows up, listens, cares, and always acts. The kind of man we need now to be the 47th President of the United States. Thank you. May God bless you all. May God bless President Trump and his extraordinary wife and his wonderful family. And may God bless America. Thank you so much.
From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, I believe that we're going to have 4 of the greatest years in the history of our country. I will, once and for all, secure our elections. We're going to go to paper ballots. We're going to have same-day voting, voter ID. We're going to do it properly. We're going to have good, secure, beautiful elections. We never want what happened in 2020 to happen again. But until then, Republicans must win, and we must use every appropriate tool available to beat the Democrats. They are destroying our country. Whether you vote early, absentee, by mail, or in person, we are going to protect the vote. That's the most important thing we have to do, is protect the vote. Keep your eyes open, because these people want to cheat, and they do cheat. And frankly, it's the only thing they do well. We will make sure your ballot is secure and your voice is heard. Many Republicans like to vote on Election Day, and we must swamp the radical Democrats with massive turnout on Tuesday, November 5th. The way you win is to swamp them. If we swamp them, they can't cheat. It just doesn't work out. But if you can't make it, you need to make a plan, register, and vote any way possible. We got to get your vote. So with your vote, we will win a victory the likes of which no one has ever seen before. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, and we will take back our country on November 5th, 2024, the most important day in the history of our country. That's what it's going to go down as. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome attorney and senior advisor for President Donald J. Trump, Alina Habba.
Good evening, America. My name is Alina Habba, and I have had the great privilege of representing President Donald J. Trump. Now, I know you're all used to hearing me shouting outside a courthouse, but tonight, I want to take you behind the law and behind the headlines and share with you a side of President Trump that reveals his character, his kindness, and his commitment to saving this great country. As a devout Catholic, a proud first-generation Arab-American woman, and a feisty Jersey girl who is fed up with far-left corruption in Washington, President Trump championed my journey, empowering me to be who I became today. His unwavering support not only shaped my career, but has inspired other young women with big dreams. President Trump loves this country. He does. And he lifts up those around him. To my children, Luke, Chloe, and Parker, he's the man with one heck of a golf swing that lets them ride in a golf cart with some of the world's most famous golfers so they feel included in mom's job. And by the way, he can kick some of those guys' butts. Ken. To my husband, whose family members have survived the Holocaust, he is a champion of the Jewish faith. To my Iraqi parents, he is a mentor to their daughter. But to me, he is my friend. Not too long ago, a supporter shouted, "God bless you and President Trump," in the middle of Manhattan after one of our trials. Little did that man know that I was on the phone with the president himself. And he immediately asked me to pause, give the man my phone, and spent time speaking to him and thanking him for his support. Despite the lawfare and the politics, President Trump loves the American people and he loves this country. For decades, the Trump Organization transformed skylines and created thousands of jobs. His buildings and businesses are a testament to his commitment to excellence and his drive to turn dreams into reality. But his greatest construction project was yet to come. The left has tried to demolish President Trump, but there is no bulldozer big enough or strong enough to remove the legacy that he has built or the future he is creating. As the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump built a legacy of putting America first. And as the 47th president, he will build America stronger than ever for we, the people. As we stand on the brink of a new chapter in America's story, I am reminded of the country my family fled 4 decades ago. A place marked by religious persecution, oppression, and a lack of freedom. They came here because America is a beacon of liberty and opportunity. It is now our duty to protect the values that define us and keep this the greatest nation on earth. Amen. That's right. President Trump only strengthens our movement. The left's madness is only a sign of desperation. Sham indictments and baseless allegations will not deter us. Because the only crime President Trump has committed is loving America. And America, we are winning. Outside of his family and our country, President Trump also has another love: music. A few years ago, he wanted me to hear a new song he had selected for an upcoming rally. I could hear it blaring in the background at Mar-a-Lago. He landed on a song called "Hold On, I'm Coming." America, we no longer have to hold on. We just have to show up. So if you're ready to end the Democrat destruction, and if you're eager to unleash the best America has to offer, then let's send Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to the White House in November. The future of America and the world is bright, and it begins with the unwavering spirit of each and every one of us. Because of the resilience and the leadership of my friend, President Donald J. Trump. So let us not forget that President Trump did not just take a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania. He has and will continue to take them for each and every one of us. God bless President Trump. God bless you all. And God bless the United States of America.
All right, everybody. That's what I was able to get. There is more. So I will be uploading those later on tonight, providing the internet keeps okay. I've noticed I've looked back on my stream, and I've been disconnected several times. So you can also see the full stream over on DLive, and that channel, my channel is DLive.tv SYM Radio. That's DLive.tv